Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. I'm going to be painting my Christmas illustration today. I've got all the ink done, it's all cleaned up and erased from the sketch lines. And I also got my reference images ready. I'm going to adjust my screen a little bit so I can really see it well. What I'm going to do is paint the snow cats first. Have a reference image that has both the sky and the snow, kind of how I want it. I'm going to adjust it a little bit. I'm not going to just copy exactly from the reference, but I wanted to see what the snow looks like while also there being an aurora borealis in the sky. And this picture is great because you can also see stars in there too. But I'm going to, actually I think I'm going to paint Bear first. And then I'm going to cover him up with some mask. Probably this liquid mask, maybe a little masking tape for these bigger areas. And then I will paint the snow cats. Because if I do the snow cats first, since the background is going to be darker, I don't have to worry about masking the sky or anything. Because once the snow cats are done, I will mask them, and then I'll be able to paint the sky freely without worrying about getting the darker paint on the lighter snow areas. So what I've got to work with is, of course, my nice big bowl of water and some paper towels. I finally did what I wanted to and brought a whole roll of paper towels down here to my studio. And of course I've got my big palette of watercolor paints. I always like to mix in this area. It's starting to get really stained because I'm using it so much. Then of course I've got the actual painting itself, which is, right now the drawing part is drawn on 300-pound cold press watercolor paper, so it's nice and thick. It doesn't warp as much as lighter papers. And finally, of course, I have some brushes. Got a really huge round brush and a sort of big round brush, smaller round brush, and a tiny round brush. I also have this, which I might be using for the sky. Go like this. And this sponge, which I think I'll use for the snow cats and just the snow hill here, because it will give me a texture more like snow. But to start, for Bear, probably just need, start with this. And let me switch to my reference image of Bear. Google Photos just recently, like earlier this week, created a collage of Bear for me, so I downloaded it because it's got all different pictures of him. Let's see, I want to zoom in though. Some of these, his eyes are kind of dark. This one, they're pretty well lit by the sun. Let's see. I wonder if it would be good if I plugged in my USB, not USB, what am I saying? My cordless mouse, because then I wouldn't have to use this hand to mouse around, because I use this hand normally. But I'm on the other side of my mouse right now. Just trying to think where I'm going to start. Watercolor, I always try to start with the lightest color, so it's probably going to be the shadows on the white part of Bear's fur. That's probably the best place to start. Here's this picture I specifically took of him for this. I want this to be cold. He's outside in this picture. In the picture I took, in the picture I am drawing, he's outside. In the picture I took, he's obviously inside because he's an indoor cat. So I'm gonna cool the shadows a little bit, probably with some blue to make it nice and colorful. I'm gonna start by getting some white. It's actually kind of hard to see in my little mixing area. Then I'll get a little bit of gray. In this set of colors I got, there's an actual gray rather than a... Oh, there's no cat hair in here. There's an actual gray paint as opposed to me just mixing black and white. I think that's good to start with. But I don't want it too dark because it's his white fur. So I'm going to get enough white paint. Mix it in. Add a little more water so it'll stay wet for longer. How's that? Maybe a little blue now. What kind of blue would be good? I like this one. It's way over here. You guys can't see it, but you'll see once I paint on the page with it. Ooh, yeah, that's a nice color. Let's try this. Let's start with this. So actually, I'm going to use a smaller brush because his body is actually pretty small. Use this one. This one has a cool little triangle of impressions for your hands to hold. That's actually perfect because it's like 3 fingers that we generally use. A little higher up than I usually do, but I'll try it out. It's another Art Snacks brush. Pretty much all the brushes I use now are from Art Snacks because I get so many over the years that I don't ever need to buy any unless some rare occasion I need a very specific one that I don't already have. That hasn't happened for a long time. Okay, here I go, actually starting painting. His whole front is white. He has brown fur on his back, like tan fur. And his tail is pretty dark brown. But his whole front of his body is just white. Watercolor paint always dries a little lighter when it goes on. So I'll wait till this is dry to see if I'm satisfied with it or if I need to add a little bit darker shadows. Right now it's looking really good though. Liking it. Liking it so far. I like these hard edges that I'm getting. That's an effect. Sometimes I want a smooth effect. Sometimes I like these really hard edges where the color just stops. I'm liking that here for Bear's fur. Of course, since this is such a light color, I don't know if that's even coming across on the camera, on the video, but you'll eventually get to see it if you follow my social media channels, since I'll be scanning this in once it's done, posting it online. Now the grips for this is not where I need it, because I need to be able to hold this more straight up and down. So I'm holding it on the reel. It's actually kind of annoying. I might change which brush I'm using for my second to smallest brush. Oh, that looks really good. I really like it. But I am going to change brushes. This is just too high up. The grip is just too high up. Keep it out though, because I need to clean it before I put it away for good. Let me go look for a different one. Not exactly the same. It's a little shorter, I think. A little shorter than the other one, but this is already more comfortable in my hand. Okay, so that part of his fur, I think is pretty good. I'm going to move on to his face. Let me switch photos. Use this picture of him in a box. He loves new boxes. If you get a shipment of something and then you put the box on the floor, he'll go in pretty quick. Trying to do left and right evenly so that the shading doesn't particularly favor one side or the other. I really like this blue tint I've gotten here. It's just what I was hoping to do. This is hardly coming through at all on the camera, it seems like to me. Looking over at my screen over there. Okay, Barry. He's got these two parts right here. That's in shadow. Right by his eyes. And maybe a little line from his nose up to the corner of his eyes. And then a little shadow right here where his two little cheeks meet in the middle. And of course his nostrils are pretty dark. I'm going to have to do it a lot darker than this, but I'll start with this. Trying to get these pretty even. Let's see, where else is there some shadow here on Barry's face? Extending out from his eyes. Yeah, I like it. Let's darken up this shadow a little bit. Add a little bit more depth. So, how shall I darken it? Maybe with a little black. Not a lot. Just enough to make it different. Okay, I think this should be good enough. Jeremy, good morning! Thank you for joining me. I haven't seen you in a while, though I haven't been streaming very much recently. Trying out the 1 day a week thing, because that's how it's going to have to be once I start school in spring. How have you been doing? I haven't gotten on DeviantArt in a while, so I haven't seen if you've done any new art recently. I should get on there today. I know my sister left a ton of comments for me on DeviantArt because she messaged me to say that she left so many comments that DeviantArt blocked her from commenting because they thought she was spamming. I've never heard of that before. She must have commented on like everything I've done in the, I don't know, maybe she commented like on all my Inktober stuff and everything. Yeah, I like this dark shadow right under Bear's head because his head is so big that it should be casting a pretty dark shadow on his body at the top. I have been busy. Holiday times in retail are not fun. Oh, yeah. Are you still doing the same position? Same job? Oh man, I remember working holidays. Working in the bakery. Whew, that was always rough. And I always worked Thanksgiving. Definitely. This part right here should be pretty dark because it's shadowed by all four of his legs and the rest of his body. So this little inside part should be quite dark. I'm just going to add little lines here and there to make extra dark shadows in places. Scattered, kind of random, just how fur should be. Yes, you're still in the same position. At least you've got that good retirement started, right? That was something I was super happy. My retirement money from the ESOP is all still there. So they eventually transferred it to like a, what is it called? It's like a rollover 401k or something. So it's financial things, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to have to deal with this. But eventually I transferred it to my bank because they have the best stuff. But it's so nice to know that I've still got that even though I don't work there anymore. Now it's just a typical 401k instead of the privately traded whatever. All that financial stuff is so beyond me. I know enough to take care of myself and not make stupid decisions or be tricked by some con artist or something, but yeah, I hate having to deal with that. How's that? Maybe a little more dark lines in this long fur. I'm a freight fossil. I'm the last remaining freight person from the old store on the hill. Ah, yeah. Store 5. I don't remember what you guys' number is now. 127 or something. So they didn't transfer your number when they made the new store. I didn't even know there were stored numbers until I moved to corporate. And then that's like how they address all the stores, just by number. Like, oh yeah, store 5, store 47. Guess it's because in the system you have to type in the number. Shadows aren't quite even from left to right. Of course, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I like to be somewhat symmetrical. Something going on upstairs. A big crack. Let's see, Barry. Got a little bit of texture here where the fur becomes your nose. 117. Ah, that was pretty close, I think. Now I don't remember what I said. I feel like I was pretty close. I think, maybe I'll put a little bit on his chin for... Just a little bit of shading here. Close enough. Good. Something else I wanted to do, and now I don't remember what it was. Before I move on from this fur color. Oh yeah. Make sure this part is dry. I wanted to do those little lines that the kitties have, where their rows of whiskers make a line on their fur. This bear is so fuzzy, I'm going to make them dotted lines. Yeah, that's probably good enough. Ooh. Now, the next color I should do, I suppose, is pink, if I'm going from lightest to darkest. It does have tan, but I want to do the pink. So I'll get up some red. And some white. And I really want to water it down because I don't want it to be too intense. Put lots of water in there. So these are super tiny areas that are going to be pink, so I only need the tiniest bit of pigment to make it work. In fact, I'm going to load my brush and then dip it on here to suck out some of the water. There. Yeah, that's perfect. It's perfect for the lightest pink. And then I'm doing the inside of his mouth pink. So Barry's actually a really pink cat. He's got pink lips, you know, like their gums around their mouth. It's hard to say lips, but yeah, his gums / lips are all pink. His nose is pink. The rims of his eyes are pink. And it's like a true pinky pink too. Pretty much just like this color. Being extra careful of his teeth here. I don't want to make his teeth pink. Okay. He does have his pink rims around his eyes, but I guess I could fit him in. Be extra careful here. I don't want it to be too thick of a line. Just going to do the bottom rim. And this one. Turn it all the way upside down. That way I don't have to worry about smudging the wet paint. Yeah, that's good. Yay! While that dries a little bit, I'm going to mix a darker color for some shadows in his mouth and on his nose. Haha! 7 more days till the new Smash Bros. Game comes out. You getting it? Of course I'm getting it. I'm so excited. I don't know if I've ever been so excited for a Smash Bros. Game since the very first one on N64. They're just doing so much awesome stuff with this one. Like their last, I think it was a Nintendo Direct, like special about Smash Bros. But I hadn't been aware of all the stuff they were doing. And after watching that, I was like, we have this pre-ordered, right? Talking to Sean. And he's like, yep. Yes. Had to have it. I got the last Smash Bros. Game, but I barely played it. We even got one copy for the, it was Wii U, and one copy for the 3DS. But I just didn't. Of course, it doesn't help that Nintendo makes so many good games now. Like, not that they didn't make good games, but it's like the so many part. They're now making, so I can't play them all. And then there's also really good third-party games that I'm really into. There's not enough time. I suppose as long as I play them at all, then that's good enough. I don't necessarily have to finish each game. How does your nose go there? It's actually not much dark, it's just dark right at the bottom. Maybe a little right here. So Jeremy, I assume you're getting a Smash Bros. Game, right? You've got to get it. I won't let you not get it. And I can't even remember what it was that really, really got me stoked. I think it was the way they've got the character progression system. I can't even remember exactly what it all entailed, but I think it was like you get the support characters and then you can like fuse them and you add them to the character that you're like working on. I love doing that kind of thing and all this stuff they had about that. And there was other stuff too. I can't remember everything that I liked about it. Since I'm getting this illustration done so fast, I might actually have time to sit down and play a bunch of Smash. Of course, I still have the piece I'm going to do to be everybody's Christmas present. And there's going to be some personalization that goes with that, so that's going to take some time. And then I want to make a New Year's card for the first time. So I've got to get that done too. But if I can get all that done, like say before Christmas, I mean the Christmas presents of course, but if I get the New Year's card done before Christmas too, then maybe I could even take like a whole week off. Which would be nice because school starts in the second full week of January, I think. It's already preloaded on my Switch. Ah, you got the digital one. I always need my physical stuff, so I don't have it preloaded. The spirit system is what you were talking about. Yeah! The spirit system. And it was like characters that are similar work together better, or something. It was something like that. Oh, and I was so excited about Fire Emblem characters and stuff. Oh, man. Oh, Carletta, welcome! Mika, exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. I'm mobile and using text to talk. I've missed you. Yeah, I'm so happy to see you. Well, at least to see your name and your text in my chat box. I'm glad you were able to join me. Yay! It's so much easier to paint when I've got more people to talk to. Like, just sort of distract me enough. Plus it helps when I need to let the paint dry a little bit. I can stop for a second and talk to you guys. Get his tongue. Just like slightly darker areas. In the back of the mouth it should be darker. And even it out right here. Alright, that's pretty good. I definitely gotta let that dry. I want to do it just the tiniest bit more dark, but it's too wet to do anything more. Let that dry. But now I can have the game ready to go on my system at all times. That's true. I do have one game that I just recently pre-ordered, and it was digital only for the English version. And I have, since I always buy the physical copies of games, I've never had the experience of having the game ready to go. And I'm like, what? Like, I saw it on there, I was like, it was not supposed to be out until mid-December. Is it ready? And I go and click on it, and it's like, oh, you cannot play this yet. Like, dang it. I guess I do have to wait. But it is nice that it's all ready to go, because it's one that I might be playing with a friend. So it'll be nice to, like, both be playing. It's an otome game, so I don't have very many people who play those. I don't have many people to talk to about them. Carletta, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I just got my postcard today, and I didn't see the finished illustration anywhere, so it was a complete surprise, and I love it. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize. That's great. I'm glad you love it. I'm glad it was a surprise, too. That one was a lot harder than I expected, that Kiki. I really truly thought that pies would be easier to draw and paint than a forest and a reflective pond. So then when it took me like at least twice as long to paint that one as opposed to my Halloween one. Like, oh man, this is taking so long. It made me feel especially like I guess a little stressed out, because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get this done before Thanksgiving. But then it was like, oh no, never mind. Thanksgiving is actually not on the last Thursday like it's been for the past few years. Like, oh, I lost a whole week that I had been banking on. But I am really happy with the final result. I've never painted pies before. I think it turned out pretty good. A little bit more dark right at the bottom of his nose. Jeremy, who is your favorite Smash character? Oh, that's such a mean question. I don't know. Of the original ones on N64, my siblings and I always fought for between. So we had more siblings than favorite characters, so I either wanted Yoshi or Link. I always got Yoshi in Mario Kart. since I was the big sister, I could always either coerce my siblings into letting me have Yoshi or trick them. Smash Bros. Was a little easier since there was more than one character that we wanted, but there was still not enough fave characters to go around for all the siblings. But now there's so many characters that it's really hard. Like, there was this cool thing going around on Facebook. Some of my friends, it was like a website where you could enter how did it work? It's like you just chose your favorite characters and it made a graph, like, or a grid with, you know, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. It was like your fighter roster. And the whole point was then take a screenshot and post it. So all you could really fit was 6 characters. So I tried it and I'm like, no, there's still so many left. I can't post this one and not post this one. Like, I was like, maybe I can zoom out and fit even more characters, but it just started getting super ridiculous, and I decided that I should just not participate in that. I don't know if you'd call it a meme or what, but I decided to give up because there was just too many, like all the Fire Emblem ones, especially from Fire Emblem Awakening. So that's already like 4 or 5 characters or more. It's just too many characters. I also always liked all the Pokemon characters. That was another one that, like Pikachu and Jigglypuff in the original. Didn't the original also have Charizard? I can't remember, but now there's even more. So many Pokemon characters. Now, let's see, I'm doing this, a little bit of shadow for Bear's eyes. I guess since his little eyes are blue and then the pupil, I guess I should add a little more blue than this. I guess we'll just color them all the way in and then do the shadow. Charizard was first in Brawl. Okay. See, there's so many now, I can't remember. I remember Pikachu and Jigglypuff were in the original. That is the one that I played like crazy. And then when they... Let me see. Was Brawl the GameCube one? Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. The GameCube one, they changed up the controller so much for GameCube, and I had played so much N64 that it was really, really hard for me to adjust. So I gave up on Smash for a little while. And of course, I didn't even own my own GameCube at the time. I was only in junior high, couldn't buy one. We had like a shared family one, but it was at one parent's house and I lived at the other parent's house. But the new Smash seems so awesome that it might actually be the first game since the first one where I'm going to be that into it. I think I'm going to color his pupil blue too, and then I will just add even darker on top of the pupil area. Then it will all seem like part of the same eye because the colors will mesh really well. I'm trying to be really careful not to mess up this little pink line that I've drawn to be the rim of his eye. The pink around his eyes is such a distinctive thing to me when I just look at Bear every day. It's just something I always notice, so I want to include it. Gotta make sure not to cover it up with the rest of the pink, but I also want to meet the pink because if I don't, there'll be a little white line in between and that will be distracting. Whew, one eye. Melee was GameCube. GameCube is still the best controller. I still prefer N64 controller. That was my fave. It might just be because that was my first home console. The only video game I ever owned before that was, well, video game system, was the Sega Game Gear. But I was so young at the time, and there was no other actual, like, gamer type people in my family. And I was the oldest sibling and everything, and also since I moved a lot, I didn't have any friends to go to for help. It was really hard figuring the games out on my own. Because basically, I got it for like a birthday or Christmas, and then I was like, here you go, have fun. I had to figure it out. I was only like 6 or 7, so not having any siblings old enough to try to figure it out with, or any friends, was really, really hard. So eventually I think I sold it at a garage sale or something. But now I have the 2 Game Gear games that I owned back then. They released them on the 3DS eShop years ago, so I have them. I own them again. One was the Sonic Triple Trouble, and the other one was it's like this puzzle game called Columns, and it was like all these gems that you had to, it was like a typical 3 in a row type of falling puzzle game. But I really liked that one. That one was easier to understand because, you just pull it down or you flip it around, and there wasn't too much to do with the buttons. Alright, is this one dry? Yeah, this one's pretty dry. Let's make a darker blue. Since there's not going to be any more shading happening around Bear's eyes, like on the fur, well, except for like right here where it touches and right here. I'm just going to go ahead and do all the different shading colors. So I'm not too worried about them bleeding into different areas. That's why I always start with the lightest colors, because if I do the darkest colors, sometimes I'll paint next to it with a light color and then it will bleed. Even if it's dry, it'll bleed into the light color, and it's like, dang it, no. First I'll start by painting in the pupil. It'll definitely get darker than this, but I'm just going to start with this color. And then it needs to have a shadow where his upper eyelid is casting a shadow. Carletta, sorry, I'll be lurking for a bit. Oh, that's fine. Since you're on mobile, that's understandable. For some reason, the mobile chat on Twitch never works for me when I watch other people. I always end up having to lurk just because it's like either I don't chat and I can still watch the stream, or I keep having to restart the app in order to get the chat to work again. Because it'll work at first, and then it will just stop working. I don't know. Maybe they've updated it by now. That one's still a little wet. But I haven't had a chance. I haven't had time to watch anyone else's stream. Of course, a lot of the people I follow stream like right when I'm about to go to bed and stuff, so it's also just timing. Okay, now let me get this picture zoomed in. Bear has some cool shapes in his eyes. Just gonna try to imitate that a little bit. How's that? And now use this like a damp brush to bring this pupil color down softly. Okay, while that dries, I'm going to mix yet a darker color. Just adding pure black to my blue mixture now. Still just a bit damp. See, what else can I do? A little bit of shadow on his teeth in the meantime. So there should be a little bit of shadow falling because of the upper lip. There. It's a tiny little area, but that little tiny details always make the difference. Not dry yet? Yay! His left eye. It's now dry enough to go ahead and make this nice dark pupil. Add some of the little lines. And now the damp brush. Bring the pupil down softly. Had this in mind from the beginning, that's why I didn't ink the pupil entirely. I just inked one side and the other side, but not the bottom. Still the tiniest bit wet right there. Jeremy, I really like how the new Smash has representation from a bunch of the Zelda franchise. Zelda's new design is based on A Link to the Past. Ganon's design is from Ocarina of Time. Kid Link from Majora's Mask. Toon Link from Wind Waker. Sheik and Link have new designs from Breath of the Wild. That's another reason why I can't pick a favorite character. There's so many good Zelda characters in there too. Like, I love Link and Sheik and Zelda herself. Not a big fan of Ganon, but he's a bad guy, so not usually that into the bad guys. And then Toon and Link have not been... I don't have anything against him, but I don't like love him or anything. He's just kind of another Link out there. I like the slightly more realistic Link and everybody. Okay, ready to do this pupil, I think. It's dry enough. Definitely is, because the paint is not feathering out. Wind Waker is a masterpiece, still holds up to this day. Isn't there... Has it been announced, or was it just a rumor that they might be bringing... Oh, it wasn't Wind Waker, it was the one with all the birds. There was like a rumor that they might be bringing that one to Switch. Skyward Sword. That's the one. I never actually finished Wind Waker, but that's actually the story for most Zelda games for me. I start them, and some of them I get really far, but the only one I've actually ever finished is Twilight Princess. I guess it's not just the story for Zelda games, it's the story for most games for me. That I usually don't actually finish them. Even, it's not like because the story is bad or anything, but as stuff happens, it takes my attention away and I never get back to it. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with his eyes, except I want to do the darkest of the dark shades for his pupils and not for any other part of the eye. So his irises are good to go now. But the pupil is literally a hole in one's eye, so it needs to be super black, not because it's colored black, but because it's no light is getting in there. Ah, Nintendo outright said no to the rumor. Oh, that's too bad. Oh well, I still have the original one. What the heck did that come out on? Was it Wii U or Wii? I even bought the game guide for that one, hoping that it would help me finish it. That's how I was able to finish Twilight Princess. I used the game guide, especially for that last boss. Gosh, even with the game guide, there's like nothing... A game guide can tell you what to do, but it can't make it happen. The last boss in Twilight Princess, ooh, so annoying. I remember you had to like ride on those goat things or whatever, or at least the goat things were training for, like the goat things from the very beginning ended up being training for the final boss, and that was super cool. But I remember getting so mad. I think I might have even just taken a break because I was getting so upset at it. But that makes it all the more rewarding when you finally do beat it. I really liked Twilight Princess. That was a really good game. Wii was on Wii so long ago. Doesn't feel like it should be that long ago, but then again, even N64, which I was in 6th grade when we got one, that does not feel like it should have been that long ago either. And yet, that's like, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, 6th grade. Maybe 15 years ago. No, that can't be. So it's almost been 15 years since we graduated high school, right? 'Cause 2004, 2014 is 10 years. Yeah, next year will be 15 years. So yeah, 20 years since the N64 seems right. 20 years about, I don't know the exact year it came out. Plus, that's just since I had one. Pretty sure it had been out for a year or two before we actually got one. Remember, it was a Christmas present to all of us kids. And we'd always fight over it. One console between 4 kids. At least Jenny was my youngest sister was a tiny, tiny little kid, so she didn't care as much. Sweet. It's good for Bear's eyes. Now I'm going to mix a little bit of this black into this pink color to do the really dark parts for his nostrils. It's the same story there. It's not because it's colored black, it's because it's so shadowy that it just needs to be super dark. You should play Dark Souls. That game is nothing but the feeling of a good challenge. I think at that point I would be frustrated rather than feeling happy. I've watched videos of people playing Dark Souls. I think that's the kind of game that would make me not want to play anything for a while because I'd be so mad. But who knows, maybe it's not like that. What platforms is it on? Is it available on? I know people love the game. And I don't like the feeling of being frustrated. There's Bear's little tiny black dots for nostrils. He's becoming realer and realer. Now I want to look at his ears. Zoom out of this picture. Yep, even his ears have a pink tint. Not as intensely pink as his mouth or his nose, but it's definitely pink. Let me awaken the pink color I mixed earlier. Oh, it's pretty dark, so I'm going to add a little white. Actually, this color might be perfect right here. Fill in Bear's ears with some nice pink. Whew, I wanted to get this done today. At this rate, I don't know how realistic that is. But Bear might actually be the most time-consuming part of this painting because he has the most detail work to do. Little fine, precise details. The snow cats probably won't be like that. And then the Aurora, I was going to use that wet on wet technique that I've been using in my other recent work, and that always goes by really fast. So once I get Bear done, the rest might take just as long as Bear took himself. I'm trying to leave a little bit of white here because he's got these guard hairs that come up from this part of his head. Since watercolor is not like acrylic or oil where you just cover up the previous layer, Gotta make sure to leave those spots, but I think that's pretty good. I just gotta do the same thing on the other side. It's looking more and more like Bear. I think it'll really look like him once I get his dark tail and the dark, I think they call it a hood. Dark hood on his head. So I was just looking up the two breeds of cat that I think Bear is a mix of. And they described it as a hood. You can only blame yourself. The game is balanced, so when you die, it's because you got careless, impatient, or greedy. If you take time to learn the game, the more rewarding it is. I don't know, patience isn't my strong suit. I'm terrible for that instant gratification, and I'm a big button masher, so I bet that'll be hard for me. It is good to learn, though. I have played a game, I can't remember, but I think it was a Zelda game, where learning the different button sequences was, the way they presented it, I was actually able to do it and concentrate and stay focused and learn them and utilize them, and so that was really rewarding. Felt really cool playing that game. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was Breath of the Wild. Oh well. It was just remarkable to me because most games where you have to learn to do a certain thing at a certain time or do a sequence of buttons for this particular thing that has to be used here and nothing else works. It's always hard for me. So whatever game that was, where that was actually easy, it just felt really, it just made me feel really happy with the game itself. Just a tiny bit left on this ear. Lower the pinky. There's a little pinky ear. How's that? I'm gonna hold it up so I can see it differently. Pretty good. Now I feel like I should put a little bit darker pink on this rim around Bear's eyes. In the corners is where it's kind of bugging me now. I'm gonna be extra careful because I don't want to pull any, if possible, of this glue down. There, that's working. It's working. Yes. Just another one of those little tiny details that is really satisfying. It's like when you first play Breath of the Wild and run into a guardian for the first time, and it's scary as hell. When you learn to parry the beam they shoot, they become easy as hell. I always run away. I'm a total coward. I always run away from the guardians. I'm like, no, no, just running away. I know eventually I'm going to have to learn how to deal with them. But I think what's helping me with those, although I haven't played in months, but the shrines where you play the like lesser type guardians. At first I was terrified. I was like, oh, what? No, a guardian. Then I realized, wait, these are easier. These are easier ones. And so I figured out how to deal with them. And then, of course, by now I've seen videos and stuff of how people deal with the big ones, and I'm like, oh wow, it's not actually as hard as I thought. But still, I'm not usually going in to actually kill a guardian. I'm just trying to get somewhere else, and I happen to run by one, and it's like, oh crap, no. So I still run away for that reason, just because I don't want to deal with it. But I need those parts, too. Dang it, I need the parts from them to make the cool guardian gear. Learn to parry. Okay, I will. Jeez. That's one of those things I'm bad at, though. Like I think it's another instance in Zelda where I'm pretty sure it's an Ocarina of Time where they have a battle earlier in the game, like a boss battle earlier in the game where you have to parry back an attack that, you know, like a fireball type of thing, and you have to throw it back, and then that becomes important for the last battle. Yeah, it's got to be Ocarina of Time. The last battle with Ganon, I don't know, they always change the freaking name, but I don't even remember what I was trying to say. Oh, I remember. I have learned in other games to do it, but like I said, I'm usually a button masher. Like, you can think of me more as like the tank that's just in front of the party and just taking all the hits and wailing away. That's more my style. So those precision stuff is so hard for me to do. But I'll do it. I'll learn. I'll learn how to deal with them dang guardians. Tennis match of death. Yep. Okay, I'm trying to get a good color for Bear's tan fur. But it shouldn't be too warm because the whole picture is going to have a pretty cool tone to it. I'll add a little bit of the blue that I mixed for his eyes. And a little more of this tan paint. It's pretty good, but I think I need some white too. I love just mixing my colors on the fly. Just adding and seeing what happens, and eventually it becomes a thing that I want, and then I use it. Alright, that's just a tad bit too yellow. A little bit more of this brown. This warmer brown. Okay. I think this is good enough to start with. I'm going to map out all of his tan to dark brown areas with this tan color, even the areas where the tan color won't even really be showing. And that way, from this point on, it'll be easy for me to tell where I should paint as I go darker and darker. So his entire tail is really dark brown. So I'm just going to fill this whole thing in with this tan color. Once I'm done with Bear, I think I'm going to have to take a break because my lower back is starting to hurt. It's been bothering me all week. Worse than usual, I mean. It's always a little sore after every day of sitting in my chair, but something I did this week really aggravated it. Even though this isn't the right color for his tail, it already starts to look more like bear. Trying to keep a wet edge here because even though I'm gonna cover this area up entirely with the darker brown color, if I get that hard line from paint that dried before I was done, it'll still show through since watercolor is inherently transparent. Trying to be super precise right here. I think it's actually been quite a while since I've created anything that features bear as a chibi. So I've drawn him as a chibi a lot of times, but it's been a while. Yeah, I think the last time I did it was at the very beginning of this year when I was creating a little chibi caricature of each one of my pets. But that was just a drawing, it wasn't like an illustration like this. It didn't have a background or anything, or any special meaning. Just getting these little white edges. As the watercolor dries, sometimes it pulls in a little bit. I want it to be right up next to these black ink lines. Ooh-wee. Okay, the rest of his visible body area is white. So the rest is on his face. Yes. The best reference I have for his face is kind of dark, but I think I'll be able to work with it. It'll be good enough. Carletta, finally getting a small lunch break so I can pay attention for a bit. Yay! Welcome back! Oh, You must be working really hard today then, if you're only getting a small lunch break, and after all this time, I think you usually have your lunch break earlier. Aw, thank you for joining me even though you're like still working. It might sound silly, but it really does mean a lot to have you guys with me while I'm working. It's just easier to stay motivated. I can't explain why exactly, but it really does help. I'm just outlining the shape of the blaze on his forehead. I don't know if you call it a blaze on a cat. I think that's what you call it for a horse, but that's what I'm calling it for Bear right now. Super cute illustration. Thank you. You're gonna be getting a postcard when it's done. And a Christmas illustration. We have a snowstorm coming in, and I'm by myself today at work. Oh, wow. We were supposed to get a little bit of rain-snow mix today, but so far as I can tell, it's only been rain. I love snow, but I don't love it if I have to drive in it. I hope you'll be able to get home safely if it does start storming, especially if you're by yourself there at work. Like, I love snow as long as I can stay inside my house and be cozy and have like a romantic like hot chocolate and all bundled up in a blanket and watching the snow fall. If I have to drive in it, especially because I have a Mustang, so they are just notoriously bad in snow. They're just awful. I'm gonna use glitter paint on this because it's snowy, so I thought it would be cool to do glitter. It's too bad that probably won't really come through in the reproductions, but maybe at least if I end up recording that bit, it'll show up in the video, because then I'll be able to go like this. Oh, so getting home is never an issue. That's good. That's really lucky. That's probably the best thing, aside from actually being able to work from home. In worst case scenario, even if you can't drive for some reason, you can probably walk. Doing lots of little tiny lines here, so this is going to take a little while because I want to have a nice fur texture. Hopefully I'm starting to run out of my color that I mixed. Hopefully I have enough for this part. Let's see, and it comes all the way up to the corner of his eye here. And it goes straight across. Some of these furs are actually white right here, just a few hairs here and there, so I'll use gouache at the end to bring those back. Now he's upside down. I just need to fuel up all the equipment, feed, and I have 2 loads of feed coming in today, corn and liquid protein. Fascinating, liquid protein. You work with cattle, right? That's interesting. I have never heard of that. I live in a fairly agricultural state, but still no expert on animal husbandry, not in that sense. Well, my grandma even did have a Texas Longhorn. They lived in Texas and had a Texas Longhorn bull. I don't know why though, they just had it as a pet, but it was mean, so I could never like go out and look at it. I had to stay away from the fence and stuff. So even though my family has had a cow, I don't know anything about taking care of cattle. Yes, this is looking more and more like bear. Just need a little more water. My color is drying up and it's getting spread out across my palette. Wake up color. There's not much left to do. So let's see. These two bits of guard hair right here are actually really dark brown. So I will color them in with the tan to start so I can remember that. He's got this cute dark brown edges around his ears. Yes, I work with cattle. So since you live right across from your work, does that mean you live in a pretty rural area? Like, my mom for a while lived in an area where she actually lived right next to, like literally next to a small but locally famous dairy farm, which I still get my milk from today. And I remember that it was really nice, actually, because it was still close enough to town that they had high-speed internet and all that stuff, any kind of TV service you wanted, everything, all the modern conveniences, but it was also nice because everybody had big plots of land and there was a lot of plant life, of course, because of the farms, but also, you know, trees around houses and stuff. And it was actually a really nice place to live in. There were all these highways, you know, like 55 miles per hour past all the houses, so maybe a little bit dangerous if you have kids, but it made getting around really fast. This brown fur drops down just a little bit, right along the edge of his face. Right there. Alright, Barry, how's that? Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Pretty good for the tan. Now, time to mix a darker color. There's not really much in between color between the tan and the super dark brown, but I will do one because there are areas where the fur is so evenly colored and meshed that it looks a little bit like a third color of fur. I'm going to use my big brush to mix the color so that I can pull in a lot of pigment at once, because my last color almost didn't make it. It almost wasn't quite enough. Yes, very rural area. I have beautiful wide open spaces. That's the best. I love that. Like, I love my internet. I love being able to go to the movies and everything. I love going shopping, but I also love having like a big yard and lots of space between neighbors. I'm gonna get some more. Oh wow. My streaming software was like glitching out for a second. Does everything look alright to go? Whoop, I just saw it. I just saw it on my own, because I have my own stream up as well on my other screen. Well, don't know what that was about. Yeah. Hello, hello. Yeah, it looks like it's still recording. The video is still moving. That was weird. I finally started an Instagram so I can share photos of nature, sun, skies, all my favorite things. You should share me your Instagram. I don't check it too often, but at least I could have you in my feed, unless it's like private or something. But if you like, you can send me your Instagram so I can follow you. I think I don't use Instagram all that much because I decided that what I wanted to use it for was, as each illustration project I do, then that's the only thing I post about, so that when I look at my feed and I look at the history, it's like, you can see like step 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's all in a row, and I think it looks really cool like that. So I use Facebook and Twitter for, random everyday type of posts, but Instagram is a very specific use. Yay! Can't wait to add you. I've got Jeff on there, so I'm able to see his art even when I'm not able to watch his streams. Okay, I think I'm happy with the color I mixed. So I'm going to clean out this big brush before I go back to my littler brush. The big one really holds a lot of pigment, so it's still not quite clean. There we go. That's good enough. At least since it's watercolor, it's okay if it dries. It's okay if the paint dries in the brush, because I can scrub it out later with a little bit of my brush cleaner and some water. So I'll start with Barry's tail. Instagram. I do so far like Instagram the best for looking at art, for looking at people I know art. I like to see what people are working on. Try to get this color in a little spot right there. So this is mostly going to be covered up by the darker shade, but I'm letting a few tiny little lines of the tan color show through, because then that can act sort of as subtle highlights. Can't be sure, but I feel like the more I heart people's art posts on Instagram, the more it prefers to show me them. Like I wonder if it can just tell that they are art posts, or if it's just because the people who post art tend to only post their art rather than other like everyday type of things. Still prefer deviant art more than anything for looking at art, because I think the interactions last longer, as in people establish their gallery and then it's there. But with Facebook especially, you know, stuff gets buried over time, and there might be a post you want to go back and look at just because you have fond memories of it or something, or you wanted to remember something about it because a question came up or whatever, and you're like scrolling for ages trying to find it. And DeviantArt, if you wanted to see what someone said about a piece that you worked on, all the comments are there. And of course there's the favorites, and people tend to do these, it's not an official like function of the site, but it's been a long time that people will do journal features where they link to your art in their journal because it matches the theme they're doing, or they're just like featuring new art, or you know, whatever their current journal theme is. And that's really cool, because once people started doing that, DeviantArt made it so that you get a notification if someone mentions you or your artwork. And I'm getting really excited about DeviantArt again, because finally, after so many years that they've needed to do this, they're doing a redesign, like a total redesign of the site. They've been stuck in the dark ages for a long time. They've been really out of date for a long time, but this update looks like it's going to be really good. It'll be good once it's finally available to me. I also like DeviantArt because even if I don't check it for like weeks, when I come back, all the new art that people I follow is there waiting for me. It's not like buried in a feed and there's no way I'll ever see it because it's just too late. It doesn't go away just because I took too long. That makes sense. I know on Facebook what you comment and like is more what they will show you. Yep, I've noticed that. I actually have a friend on Facebook who we agreed to like each other's art posts just like by default to help each other reach more people, because it's really annoying when people like your page and then Facebook won't show them the updates you post. It only shows like 5% or something of the people who follow your page, unless they scroll down far enough and Facebook doesn't have anything else to show them. So me and my friend were like, let's just exchange likes so we can help each other out, help boost each other's posts. Of course, we're really similar too. That's why we're like art buddies. So it's not like totally meaningless likes. Oh, I got a little bit of something right here. Oh well. Well, maybe that's what they're doing on Instagram too. Learning from your likes, or showing things that have lots of likes from others. Oh, Soon's barking at something. Maybe a package is being delivered. Definitely had at least one thing coming today. I need to be more familiar with DeviantArt. I know another artist who uses that. I've been on DeviantArt for a long time. I joined in high school. I was following who has now become my best friend, We're still friends today, and I just followed her around to whichever art site she was using, because she was always finding the best new art websites at the time. And I stuck around, and even though for the last few years it's been really rough with, you know, me and my relationship with DeviantArt, like, I haven't been very happy, but by that point I had like 10 years worth of art on there, and so it's not really about the site so much as it is that it's become, my profile has become an art archive. Of course, I don't have all my old art publicly visible anymore because I want to present my best work, and stuff that's 15 years old is not my best work. So it's only available for me to look at, but it's still nice to like look at what I wrote at the time and look at the people's comments who were seeing it when I had freshly posted it. And I even recently dug into that part, the part where only I can see. It's actually kind of hard to get to that section of the site, but I was trying to make sure that I had all of my Christmas card art listed in my Christmas card gallery, and I did in that all the cards where I've designed them to be printed are all currently listed. In doing that, 15 years of art, I got reminded that it was my dad's idea in the very first place to print my art as our Christmas cards, as like our family Christmas cards. Because I had made a piece of art just to be like a Christmas greeting online. I wasn't intending on printing it or anything. That had never even crossed my mind. But according to what I wrote on the piece, my dad liked it so much that he printed it himself to send as our family Christmas cards. And that's probably where the idea got planted, and that was like years before I made my first Christmas card specifically to print and send. As far as I can tell, the first one that I made like that was in 2007, so that's still quite a while ago. That was over 10 years ago. Doesn't feel like it should be, though. Feels like it was just a couple years ago. Oh, your feed load is here. See you again next week, hopefully. Yep, I'm going to do my best to stream again, though it'll probably be... My next piece is going to have to be a surprise. It's going to have to be a secret till Christmas, so I'll work on some random other thing. But thank you for joining me. Have a good day at work, and be careful in the snow if it starts snowing. So get this dark rim around Bear's ears. I think it's really cute how he has pink insides of the ears, but he's got this really dark fur lining the outside. Bring this side down too. Bye! Bye! You still there, Jeremy? Dang, I'm running out of color anyway. Even though I use my big brush to mix the color. Oh good, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Until you have to go kind of precise on this dark patch by Bear's eye. It kind of gets, it tapers off on both sides. So it tapers on this side, and then down this side too. There's the tiniest bit visible right here. Just a few dark hairs. And this comes up to his forehead. This part of his hood is all dark except for the very top line. Sort of connects right here to the ear, and then here it connects a lot more obviously. Whew. Turn this back around. The reference picture I'm looking at, he's so in shadow that the top of his head actually looks black. But I know from real life that it's just super dark brown. It's definitely darker than what I've got it so far, but it's certainly not black. Bear doesn't have any black fur. Let's see, this part comes out like this. And then a little bit right here, this edge fluff around that side of his face. Draw a few more guard hairs in his ears. Yikes. Streaming software is just going crazy sometimes. Wigging out. So that probably means my recording is going to be like that too. Whew. Maybe my computer's telling me it's time to take a break. But I wanted to finish Bear. I'm so close too. I think actually, once I do this darkest color, I will be done with Bear, except for the white highlights that I'll do at the very end with gouache. Jeremy, maybe your internet is having issues with weather. Yeah, I don't know. Could be. Let me look out the window real quick. Looks like it's still drizzling out there. It's been raining all night. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of rain, so I was able to fall back asleep pretty easy. And I woke up again another time because I was getting too warm, because I think Kiki was laying on me. And it was still raining, and then when I woke up it was still raining. And it's still raining now. It's so rainy outside that our wooden fence out there is almost black in some areas because it's just that wet. It's cleaned off a little splatter of paint that got. It was such a tiny splatter, I knew if I just get it really wet and use my paper towel. Super dark brown. I'm just going to mix it into this black blue that I created earlier for his pupils. Oh heck yeah, this looks awesome. This color looks perfect. Drip a bunch of water in here and make sure it stays wet while I finish these last areas. I think that's enough. Get all the pigment out of the big brush. I think maybe I will restart my computer while I take my lunch break, and then maybe that will help, because I have never seen my OBS program do this weird like glitching lines thing before. I've had tons of problems in the past, but never that one. I haven't changed my hardware in a long time. I haven't updated the program in a while. I'm really not sure why. Here we go. Definitely starting with the super dark tail, and now I'm not going to fill it in entirely. And a little kitty hair on here. I'm going to leave some areas so the light will be coming from the sky. So the darkest parts will be the bottom part of the tail. I'm going to leave lighter parts to give depth to it. I want to add texture too, so there'll still be this dark color all over the whole tail, but not evenly. Right here where it curves up should actually be pretty dark because the tail is casting a shadow on its own self. That's pretty good, yeah. How old is Bear now? Oh man, I don't know. I can never remember. I know he's definitely like veterinarianally a senior cat. I think he might be, let's see, he might have been born in 2000, let's see, we had him in, I think they had him in 2004, so that's at least 10 years, and then 2008, so he might be 14 years old. He's definitely our oldest pet in the house. Ever since Kenchi went away. Kenchi had to leave us. I was looking at my Kenchi Christmas card from last year and made myself sad. I was looking at it yesterday or the day before. It's like, Kenchi wasn't the kind of dog you could just pal around with and bring around with you. You know, he was really too protective and stuff, but it was like, because of that, it was like really, I don't know, we loved each other, me and Kenji. And he was there if I was ever alone in the house, and he was there, and I never felt worried about being alone. It was no problem to walk him after work at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, because I knew if anybody tried anything, Kenji would get him. But now my old had to cut a bunch of mats off him again today. His hair is just so matable. It so easily gets tangled. If I don't brush him every week without fail, he will have a mat by the next time I brush him. It's pretty good, but I still think I need more. I need more. Right here. More dark fur. Let's see. It's been 2 hours. 2 hours since I started streaming, pretty much. That's pretty good right there. It's taken me about 2 hours to paint just Bear. Of course, it's my own fault for liking lots of detail. But what's the point of making art that I don't like? I like detail. Yeah. I'm just trying to hold it away from me so I can see it from a different perspective. When I'm painting it, I'm focusing on like an area this big. So I need to hold it away so I can see what the overall effect is. Aw, Senchi turned 15. He gets the horrible mats like Bear too, huh? I remember I came to see you once. I think it was when my youngest sister was getting married, so I was down there. And he was like all shaved. You guys had to shave him all the way. Those darn mats. So hard because there's so much in my life to do. So grooming the pet sometimes takes a back seat. But at least I never let Bear get so bad that it's like, you know, you see in those animal police videos where like, oh, hoarding situation, and this poor cat's skin is all like gross because of the mats are so bad, or like it's never like that, but I usually have to go in and trim them off and then brush out the rest of the mat. Or if we're going in for a vet appointment, I'm like, can you please shave off his mats? And they'll shave him for me. And it's nice because they're like totally understanding about it. Not judgy or anything. Let's see, this really dark, almost black fur actually goes down the entire edge. Oh, I did it over here, but I didn't do it over here. It has to go all the way down. Aw, he is old and lazy. he deserves to be. He's a good boy. I remember living with him in our first apartment. Such a good kitty. I like to cuddle with him. I like to cuddle with any kitty. I love kitties. Kitties are the best. I love dogs and other animals too, but kitties are the one that I gotta have a kitty. I gotta have a kitty in my life. I'm incomplete without them. How's that? Pretty good. Pretty good. More light strokes for these guard hairs. Still not a dog person. I hate my brother's dogs. Ah. Wait, which brother? Not the one you live with, right? Or do you still live with your one brother? You have so many brothers, I don't even know. I can't keep track of them. You have 3 brothers, right? One is your twin. The other ones, I can't remember. I can't remember. Three brothers. Okay, good. I am remembering that. I don't remember their names. Well, I remember your twin's name, but I don't remember the other two's names. Probably because I never really hung out with them very much. Oh yeah, man, this is really looking like Bear. Twin has the dog. That people's pets resemble them and vice versa, so it doesn't surprise me that you wouldn't like dogs if that's your main interaction with dogs. Soon has really mellowed out in the past few years. Like he used to be, I don't know if you remember, but he used to be way too like hyper and he'd chew stuff up, and since he's gotten older too, he's just a really good dog. And since I live in a house where I feel like and have a schedule where people can just come over without making huge plans about it, he's been getting to meet more people. So he does bark at them when he first meets them, and I learned a new technique to put him outside the glass window in the kitchen so he can still see and bark his head off. But by the time he stops barking, like he barks himself out, I let him back in and he doesn't bark at the new person anymore. And then from then on, he seems to remember them, so when they come back next time, he might bark once or twice, but that'll be it. Unless it's like months between visits, I guess, then it makes sense that he would forget in that amount of time. I was really happy because one of my good friends here, when she was over last week, she was like, I love Soon. And she was just like cuddling with him. Like made me proud of Soon. Okay, this here doesn't have too much black on the guard hairs. No, it's not black, dang it, it's dark brown. It's just on the outside of the ear. Yeah, just a couple right there. So it is pretty dark down this side of his head. Yappy. That is the word I would use. Soon howls a lot now when he barks, especially if he's like trying to tell us that someone is here. He'll keep being like, woo, like that. And he's, over the past few years, developed this adorable thing he does if he'll get his toy, whatever toy is laying around. Howl in a playful way with the toy in his mouth, so it's like the sound is being filtered through the toy, so it's really hilarious and adorable at the same time. Well, Barry, I think I'm almost done with you. Then it's time for my lunch break. Yay! And then I want to come back to this because I really want to finish today. It would be so great to have my Christmas cards ordered and on the way featuring this art. Well, maybe not on the way, but ordered before December is even officially here. That would be the best. What's for lunch? I haven't decided yet. I've got some interesting vegetarian frozen meals to try. Or I'm really behind on my milk order that I get every week. Like I have too much milk, so I need to have more milk. So I might have like some cereal for lunch, some cold cereal for lunch. I also have these like protein snack stuff. Definitely nothing fancy. I'm trying to stay on top of my kilocalories every day because I did pretty good with Thanksgiving. I stayed under my 1500. That was like a great prep for Thanksgiving Day when I know there's no way I'm not going to be stuffing myself, or at least like nomming on all the yummy foods all day long. So I kind of want to do the same thing for December with Christmas, because I always get lots of candy and stuff as presents. And then of course there's tons of food to eat on Christmas, so if I can keep my calories in check every day until then I'll be good, and I won't feel bad about pigging out on Christmas. So with that, I've been trying to keep my lunches small, and also, if possible, put my dinner in ahead of time, and then I know how many calories I have to work with for lunch. I don't know what I'm having for dinner today yet, so you could do the I hate myself diet and not eat sugar at all. Never. You will never take me away from sugar. I love sugar. I love sweets, candy, and dessert. Ever since around this time last year, I have been baking almost every single week, a different recipe every week. Candy or something. Not terrible though. It's not like my whole pantry is stocked with junk food, but I lost 20 pounds doing that. Well, good job. So you call it the I hate myself diet because you have personal experience with it. No, I could never do that. Calorie counting is the thing that really works for me, because then if I have to eat pizza this day, like I need just greasy pizza for dinner. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not cutting fat out or whatever. It's okay. As long as the calories are good, so I'll eat less pizza than I might have eaten, but I'm still getting the yummy pizza. So same thing goes with sugar. I commend you. I commend you for being able to go through with that. Giving up soda was the hardest. Oh, I imagine. Oh, I remember you doing that, especially, like, you're famous for loving Coca-Cola. Did you go back to drinking Coke once you hit your goal, or are you, like, off the stuff for good? I don't drink sugary soda usually, though, just 'cause I don't like the... So I like sugar and stuff, but sugary soda coats my... Soda, not so much for the calorie savings as for the texture in my mouth that it leaves. What do you call that? You'd call it a after texture, I guess, instead of an aftertaste. Just softening up the transition between these two pinks on Bear's eye rim right here. I love watercolor because you can do stuff like that. If you look at it later, you can edit a little bit. I gave myself a cheat day, and that day is heaven on earth. That's funny because I watched that reminds me of something that I saw. I think it was the beginning of the Macy's parade this year for Thanksgiving, and they had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, like, just a greeting from him among other famous people, and he was like, "Thanksgiving is the best cheat day ever." I'd never heard that before. It was so funny to me. Like, yeah, that's like exactly what I've been doing, because I've been staying under 1,500 for 2 weeks, and then boom, who cares about calorie goal? Eat what I want when I want. Whew, I guess I'm being a little rough on my brush. Bending the bristles a little bit. Come on, get back into shape. Oh, that's alright. I have so many brushes from Art Snacks that if this one gets in too bad of a shape, I can just toss it and I'll have another one. Another one ready to go. Okay. Just gonna look at this, but I think yeah. Just gonna make sure there's nothing I missed, but I think it's good, and I think it's time for me to take my lunch break and also reboot my computer. I really hope that helps. Whatever this problem, I don't know why OBS, I guess it's because it's free software. I think I got everything. I got his mouth looks good. I got little shadows on his teeth. I got his nose. I got the nostrils. Happy with his eyes. I'll just add the highlights at the end with gouache. His fur pattern. I guess I'll zoom out on this picture and make sure his fur pattern looks alright with all the different pictures I've got in this one collage. Yeah, his tail's nice and dark. He's got this dark patch right here. And I got both edges of his ears. I missed that at first, but I've got it now. On that side, and this side looks right. Pink on his ears, that's good. Alright, okay, I think I'm done with part 1 of this painting. So I'm going to take a break. And my glasses. Whew. Go have lunch and also reboot my computer, so hopefully when I come back later to paint some more, it will not keep freaking out like it's doing. So that's it for now. It'll be great if you can join me later. Thank you for watching.